Everyone that shows up is physically capable, right? Everyone who gets a spot to get to SEAL training is physically capable of doing it. It's a mental game. It's you versus you. It's your internal dialogue. It's your self-talk. How are you approaching problems? I would say that SEAL training, I think anyone's capable of doing it if they are in the right place and know themselves and have the willingness and want to be it and to accomplish the training, yeah.
Spartans, listen up.
We need to sleep better. So how do you sleep better? Never thought about it before. And so I met Jack, I met Essentia. I pay attention to the mattress you sleep on because it's loaded with chemicals.
Recovery, cooling, and pressure relief, all in one mattress. Up to 60% more deep and REM sleep. Less inflammation, faster bounce back. No toxins, no EMFs, no BS.
My buddy Jack over at Essentia, he's kind enough to give us a code for the Spartan community. That's DECA, that's Tough Mudder, all of us. Use Spartan25, get a discount. Prioritize your sleep so you can sleep faster, you can do more burpees, you can train more, you can get healthier. When you sleep well, you live well.
Welcome to the Hard Way podcast with Joe DeSena, founder and CEO of Spartan Races. We're teaching you how to overcome your obstacles in your life the same way we teach our 10 million plus Spartans to overcome obstacles on the course, with insight from the smartest, most accomplished experts from every corner of the world. Get ready to elevate your life today.
Joe DeSena, CEO and founder of Spartan, host of the Hard Way podcast. Got a great buddy of mine on, Werksman, Navy SEAL, author, superhuman dad. Welcome aboard.
Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate you having me. And as always, good to connect with you. Honored to be here.
So we were together recently. We were doing Murph, and I got there and I saw Jakob already in the midst of like push-ups and squats, and there was a ton of people around. And I said, "Holy smokes, he's got a group going already." But I guess it was a religious group or something that had showed up before us.
Yeah, last year, this is the second year we did it, and I thought, okay, 6:30 is showtime, so I got there at 6 and had my weight vest in the back of the car, and I looked around, I'm like, all right, maybe Joe invited the wrestling teams, and this is them, I don't know, but I guess I don't have time to stretch, let's go. So yeah, threw on the weight vest and started getting to it, and then you showed up not long after me, and then the whole crew showed up at 6:30, so I think altogether we did 2 Murphs that day.
The funny thing about it was, if you're listening or watching, so imagine showing up a little bit early, and then you see your buddy, and then you're feeling late because you're like, oh, he got a whole group, and they started without me. And so the people I invited just kept feeling, everybody that showed up felt like, oh, well, Joe was already here. But it was just a calamity of early people, I guess.
Positive peer pressure. Let's go.
Most interesting thing that day wasn't doing Murph with you. It was when you said to me, as a Navy SEAL, being around other Navy SEALs leveled you up. And I asked, what do you mean? And you said, look, we got up early, we trained hard, we became proficient at things, and I finally got to sit on the couch, grab a beer, watch something on Netflix, and I look out of the corner of my eye, and I see another SEAL going out for his 3rd run of the day. And so I'm like, shit. And then that gave you positive pressure to go level yourself up even more.
With a small community, right? So SEALs are in 3 places in the world, or at least stationed there: Virginia Beach, Virginia, Coronado, California, or over there in Hawaii. And specifically in Virginia Beach, Virginia, there's not a whole lot to do or escape outside of the military community. And so, literally, if you settle in a neighborhood, chances are 3 or 4 of your neighbors are going to be active duty SEALs. And it was just something that always kept me on my game. And it, that was one example of fitness, but it applied with everything. You're ready to leave the SEAL team and leave work for the day, and you're going out, and a buddy's working on his gear, and he's trying out, new technological advancements, that he's inventing for the day, and he needs your opinion on it, or you need to help him. And it was just nonstop collective excellence, or a commitment to collective excellence.
Positive tension, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were up on the farm last 2 weeks. We had death camp for the kids and adults. And a friend of mine who's worth an ungodly amount of money as a family came up with his kids to level up the kids. And he's a pretty fit guy. He's a Murph guy. He's a pretty fit guy. And I found myself, even though I like climbing the mountain, and even though all of a sudden it went from level 2 to level 10. Like, all right, it's only 5 o'clock at night. There's time to get 3 more big things in. Let's go chop down a tree. Let's go carry that sled. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be surrounded with positive tension.
Yeah, Joe, and you can apply it to anything, right? We're talking in a fitness context here, but like, even in high performing or business environments, just imagine being surrounded by A players where all they want to do is get better and get a competitive advantage. And that's your entire ecosystem. Like, you are naturally going to get better because you're going to want to keep up.
It is true, right? You're an average of your 5 best friends. Like, you need to be in a community. Gentleman I was recently talking to said, if somebody wants to be better, if they're sitting on the couch and they want to be better, they need to quickly find the better people to hang out with. Because if you're capped at a 10-mile run, but then you all of a sudden join a group that runs 100, before you know it, you're running 100. Nothing changed, except you're hanging around people where that's normal.
Yeah, I mean, your wife and daughter came out for the Murph, and I spent some time talking to your wife, and for me, that was the wisdom I was sharing with my wife when I got home. Is like, hey, Joe and his wife have done an amazing job raising their kids. Like, they seem really aligned and connected. They've had a successful marriage. Well, he's been an entrepreneur and she's been running the household and all these other things. Give me all the wisdom, give me all the wisdom nuggets you can so that I can hopefully implement them in my life. I think it's one of the secret sauces to being better every day.
And by the way, it could go in reverse. If you're out there listening or watching and you're hanging out with like negative influences, right? You're probably going in that direction subconsciously.
Years ago, I had a mentor of mine share the energy giver or taker matrix with me. And he's like, hey, man, this might not be easy to do, but just fill it out. And it was literally list those you interact with or those, quote unquote, closest to you. And then you check the box. Are they when I spend time with that individual, do I feel like I am recharged and receiving energy? Or do I feel like I'm giving energy and I'm completely drained? Or is it reciprocal and neutral? If you look at that matrix and you do that on your own, and it's heavy on the energy taking spectrum, that's another sign. Like, all right, reassess, see who you need to, cut out of your life or spend less time with. It was surprising for me, who showed up on the energy taking when I really thought about it. And that kind of reshaped my mindset of assessing who I want to be around and surround myself with in every area of my life.
What are you doing right now? You're at Harvard. What's going on at Harvard? Tell us.
I'm an executive fellow at Harvard Business School where I research, teach, and collaborate with the organizational behavior and leadership teams. And right now, my company and I, Victory Strategies, we've built some custom experiential learning events specifically for the global executives who are coming to campus to engage in being better today than they are, or being better tomorrow than they are today. We just executed another one last week. We have another one coming up in 2 weeks, and they're dynamic in nature, forging team alignment, crisis decision-making, collaboration, teamwork, creative problem solving, the list goes on. So everything really that can help with team performance. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun up here, and I've had the pleasure and opportunity of working with Harvard Business School for a little over 5 years now, and we're honored to call them one of our partners.
I love it. And so you're going out and knocking on the doors, or they're knocking on your door, companies, small, big, medium size?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, with our team, we're primarily B2B, and we execute leadership training and coaching services with organizations to do what you and I are both doing, right? We're trying to, everyone we touch points with or interact with, we want to be better and foster a community of high standards and excellence. We're doing that through executive group and leadership coaching, team building events, seminars, workshops, presentations, keynotes. We have an online academy, things that are well aligned with you and Spartan, and just another organization on the face of the earth trying to do good.
What do you recommend to most companies? Does it come, I mean, we just talked a little bit about it, right? Surround yourself with amazing people. But what do you find, and what do you recommend most often in this process with companies?
Like anything, right? Context depends. But one observation I would share that I think's always been surprising to myself and our team is, there's really like 2 categories of leaders within organizations and teams. There's the leader who knocks on our door and says, hey, I'm interested in these services for my team. And then there's the leader that knocks on our door and says, hey, I'm interested in these services with my team. And the latter is really the one that has the most skin in the game, the most commitment to excellence, and we've recognized really has a culture of continuous performance and a strive to be better every single day and not rest on past pedigree or accomplishments. So that's a a theme we see often, and it's part of our initial assessment is, hey, as the leader of the organization, is this something you want to participate in too? Because that's very telling. So those are just some of the observations, but I could go on and on.
Tell us about the books. You've written a few books.
Thanks, Joe. My first book, Leadership, a Life Sport, really just a all-encompassing book on the topics that I saw underneath the leadership umbrella. I break it down into short stories. I'm not a natural reader. I have to force myself to read. And so I wanted it, to be a book that someone could pick up, read a couple pages, take away some great lessons, put it down, and then come back to it 6 months later and not have to start over. And then over the last 5 years, I've been working on my second book, which released last month, called Mastering Your Gap, Unlocking the Leadership Power of Gravitas, Awareness, and Presence. I'm working at Harvard Business School and in my own organization, when we work with executives, one of the first things we ask them when we're coaching them is, hey, what are some of the top 3 areas you want to work on and develop? Usually during that self-assessment, one of the 3 things they say are, I want to work on my gravitas, awareness, or presence. After consistently hearing that as a response, set out on a mission to create an all-encompassing one-stop shop book that could really help leaders, emerging leaders, established leaders accelerate their ability to master their gravitas, awareness, and presence. So honored and fortunate enough to have you in the book, sharing some wisdom nuggets and leadership takeaways on the topics. Have incredible leaders like Admiral McCraven, some Olympic athletes, some business executives, et cetera. The list goes on. But really combining 3 things. We're combining the academic knowledge and research that I have done and that's already been existing in the literature on why these 3 things matter and how statistics and data and science will show you they actually help your individual and your team performance. And then my favorite section, the second part of the book, is 30 practitioner case studies of real life examples lived, similar to what you shared, for the reader to really see that's not just academic in nature, it's practitioner based. And then the last section of the book is the playbook. It's, okay, now you have the knowledge, the understanding, the practicalities. How do you do it as the person in the arena?
Writing a book's not easy, I know.
Yeah, how many do you have now? 3, 4? More?
I don't even know. I've got a lot of books, and it's really something that you do because you love it. It's you don't really make any money at it. It's a ton of work. You've got to market the book, otherwise you got this wonderful book that nobody's reading. So I applaud you for it's tough work. But Navy SEALs do tend to write books.
All right. What Green Beret buddy of yours told you to say that?
What's the story with being a SEAL? People who are listening out there, they want to level up their life. Can anybody be a SEAL? Like you run through a rigorous sifting process to, weed out those that don't qualify. Can anybody do it? Is it a mindset? What is it?
I think so. I think anyone can do it. Everyone that shows up is physically capable, right? Everyone who gets a spot to get to SEAL training is physically capable of doing it. Similar, I imagine, to some of the, hardest and most rigorous races you guys put on. It's a mental game. It's you versus you. It's your internal dialogue. It's your self-talk. How are you approaching problems? In the SEAL teams, we have a very common saying, which is meal to meal. And that's referencing when we go through Navy SEAL Hell Week, 5.5 days, no sleep, running over 200 miles with a rubber boat on your head. You're wet and sandy the whole time. You're exposed to hypothermia repeatedly. It just sucks. And the saying meal to meal is, if I can just focus on getting to the next hot meal, I can reset, take a mental moment, reestablish my motivations for being here, and then continue on. Whereas if you start Sunday night, you're not finishing till Friday or Saturday, and you start thinking, oh my God, this sucks already, I have 6 more days to go, that's a daunting task. But like many things in life, if you focus on just micro accomplishments, they'll all add up into a macro accomplishment. And so I would say that SEAL training, I think anyone's capable of doing it if they are in the right place and know themselves and have the willingness and want to be it and to accomplish the training. Yeah.
Which is really applicable to your point in anything in life, right? Like, do you want it bad enough? And can you focus meal to meal? For me, when, long distance running or any of these crazy races, could I just make it to that telephone pole, right? Because otherwise you lose your mind.
Heavy, not necessarily just the 1 hour, put outs on a fitness exercise, but like the marathons, the SEAL Hell Weeks, the Iditarod, or one of the crazy races you've accomplished. For me, I've always found those to be so therapeutic because it's just you in your head for maybe days. And if you can focus on some deep thoughts or some places you haven't visited in a while, you can accomplish a lot there. And I'd be interested in your thoughts on that topic.
Oh, and hallucinating, but I used to hate it as much as I loved it. Like, I remember just saying, I got to take up ping pong. This is just terrible. But at the same time, laughing at that thought and somehow immediately crossing when you cross the finish line, feeling like, all right, I got to go do another one. Because regular life just doesn't feel this good. So the suck is addictive. We, on the farm last week, me and that buddy I was describing, we carried a 110-pound punching bag up the mountain. It was a stupid, can we do this? And it sucked. It sucked. I was like, we got to do it again. So we did. So we did it again. So it's a really special thing when you figure out how to become addicted to the suck.
Yeah, and it's hard too, right? Because you often, in society today, you have to manufacture it. It has to be intention paired with action, or it's not going to happen. Or you need to be in the right communities, or all the above. And that's why, Spartan and many of our friends that are doing similar things is the communities we want to be a part of. It's awesome.
Look, it's one thing, Jakob, to, develop our own ability to enjoy the suck, but you study leadership on a daily basis. You work with leaders. How do leaders get the teams to go out and do the hard thing, to manufacture diversity, and then to somehow live it and do it and love it?
Yeah, that's a hard thing about hard things, Joe. A few thoughts I would share is, one, if you're in the process of assembling a team, well, incorporate that as part of your recruiting or onboarding, criteria. Find the team members where you don't need to manufacture it because they're already high octane. This is how they live and breathe every single day, and bring those individuals on your team. If you're inheriting a team or taking on a position of a pre-existing team, I think it could be a plethora of things. Some of the tips I would share is, of course, establish a strong connection with your team right out of the gate. Listen to them, seek understanding of some of the pre-existing culture that's taken shape and form prior to your arrival. Try to gain input and collaboration, and then share some of your leadership philosophy and expectations with the team. Share the context why, especially with the younger generations entering the workforce. My generation included, we want to know the context. Like, it's not just say do and you're the sayer and I'm the doer. We want to know the reasoning and the context behind it. And so if all of those things are aligned or communicated where the team is competent in those categories, I think then it could lead to, some great micro moments where you can, or micro incorporations where you could start incorporating what you're trying to do to manufacture some of this hard, some of this suck, some of these obstacles, challenges, missions that are going to essentially grow your team on the backside of it. And then if you normalize it, it's just part of the culture. It's just something we expect every day we come to work. No one at Spartan doesn't expect to walk by Joe and not either hear burpees, think burpees, or do burpees. So that's just an example of you leading by example, doing these things, having an expectation at Spartan. This is part of our culture. Even if they're not doing them every day, they know what they are and they have done them and they will do them. It's small things like that or muscle memories of the organization that can be incorporated that can really foster, help manufacture, normalize doing hard things.
Well, how do people find you?
You can visit our website, victorystrategies.com. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram. We're kind of YouTube. We're on all the social media platforms, and would love to connect with the community.
And so give us, let's end it with, 3 tips for those out there. We talked about community, but give us some parting wisdom.
I would say regularly spend time trying to develop your self-awareness. Oftentimes you do that through distractionless thought about self and interactions with others. I'd say that would be a good foundation, especially, since I just wrote a book from 5 years of research on it. It's top of mind. The other one I would say, try to connect with try to foster meaningful relationships by connecting with good human beings. And that leads me into my third point, which would be try your best to be a good human being. If Tom Brady says it all the time, and I love it, and he's a living example of it. If you know deep down you are giving it your best, in every area of your life, every day you go to bed, you're crushing it, man. You're doing good. If there's a doubt in your mind that you're giving it your best, there's some more, back to point number 1. You start driving into some of that self-reflection and self-awareness. If you can do those 3 things, at least in my, youth and inexperience so far, I would say you're going to have a great life.
And then I would just add burpees.
Burpees, yes. Burpees after your coffee, man, or before.
Well, you're awesome. I always love seeing you. Let's get together soon. Do some good work at Harvard. Thank you for coming.
Joe, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you, my friend.